Welcome into the OBR streaming network. My name is Brad Ward. This is another edition of Things I Think I Know About the Cleveland Browns. Hope you are all doing well, having a fantastic week as we finish up our week of programming here on the network with Things I Think I Know, heading into the weekend. It's been a crazy week, right? It's been a wild week of shows. What was supposed to begin the down period here, as we head towards training camp and finished up the mini camp. Browns had a couple of days of work this week. What they did, very much hush hush behind doors. It's not exactly clear who all was there and whatnot, but they did have a couple OTA days earlier this week. They're done now and fully on break. Weird scheduling there. I initially had said, hey, it's weird they're doing this mandatory mini camp, and then scheduling a couple OTA days after mini camp. Why would they do that? I've never seen that before anywhere. The idea being maybe like your guys that don't show up for mini camp, maybe you can get them to hang around and you steal a couple extra days from guys that are already in town and they just stick around. I don't even think that was the case necessarily. I'm not sure exactly what they did, but either way, they did continue to work this week a little bit. They had a couple extra days. I'm sure they used them for something, but they're done now, and we'll be back in. I think we saw the date. I think it's around the 20th of July, 18th, 21st, somewhere in that area there. They'll be back for training camp. And a lot happened this week. So I wanted to start tonight's show with something that me and Pete kind of talked about on Tuesday with the quarterbacks, because Daniel Jeremiah came out and said on the Rich Eisen show this week, I think maybe yesterday, that he expects a rookie to start for the Browns week one, which, surprised me a little bit. I think that there's a path there for everybody, right? I think there's a path there for everybody. Personally, I feel like there's a path there for Shador more than Gabriel as far as the rookies go to start. However, as kind of Pete pointed out on Tuesday night on the React, if you want to go back and check that out, there is some narrative out there that he's just behind on the learning curve a little bit of the offense, and that maybe that's why he hasn't gotten first team reps, at least in front of the cameras. And I still will say we've just seen a snapshot of 10. They've had 10, 12 practices or OTAs. We've seen 5 with the media in place. And, who knows what happened on those other 6-7 days, right? I think that it's very possible that he has taken reps with the first team on those days. But by all accounts of what the media has seen when they're there, he hasn't taken a lot of first team reps. The question kind of floats in, like, is it possible they're doing that on purpose for the cameras? I wouldn't think so, but it's possible. Just because there's so much hype around Shador, like there's so many people in his corner pushing for him that that they want to temper expectations maybe a little bit, but that doesn't feel like a Stefanski thing to do. So maybe there is something to this, that they think that Dylan Gabriel is further along in kind of what Charles Robinson alluded to in his article is that Dylan Gabriel was farther along in the process of learning the offense or understanding processing an NFL offense, being NFL ready, I guess would be the best. Um, and there was another article as well that came out that had quotes that were very much in line with that. I think when they come back, it doesn't matter. This is a period of time where if that was the case, right? If that's the case, if that's why he was on field 2 with the 2s and 3s, Shedeur Sanders or whatever, this is your break period and your time where if there was any kind of a separation between the two and what they would consider to be NFL ready or ready to step on the field versus the ones or understanding the offense, he has to close that gap now, right? Like he has to close that gap now and come back, as Stefanski said in his speech, ready to go when training camp comes. I think when training camp arrives, all training wheels are off and everybody's getting real shot at this thing right now. Like everybody gets a shot at it. So when Daniel Jeremiah says that, I think, yeah, there's a path to that. I think that the ceiling on Shedeur is so much greater for me personally than Dylan Gabriel. Then that I think if any of them were going to start, it would be him. But then there's those in the media painting this light that he's further behind. So I would just say this: coming into training camp after the break, I don't believe that to be. I think that narrative goes away, right? Like maybe they can say at this point in the process at mini camp after OTAs, this is where they were at with the 2 and they felt like he could take reps with the 1s. This is just based off of the Charles Robinson stuff, right? Okay, fine, but coming back now with a month plus to get into the playbook, to understand everything, and to really have a fair competition to see who can start for this team, I think that goes out the window. I think you have to give them, you don't have to give them equal opportunity. I guess you earn the right to get those opportunities, right? But at the same time, I think this idea of like, yeah, they're easing him into it a little bit more than they were Gabriel. I think that goes away, right? Because I think they're just gonna hit, according to Stefanski, they're just gonna hit the ground running in training camp. And if you can't keep up, it's gonna be obvious, right? If you're not up to task with what the offense is doing, with the playbook, with where they want you to go with the football, yes, they will be learning, teaching, all of that stuff. But I think that you see it now against the ones, and it'll become evident if someone's not ready, right? By a lot of accounts, I've heard people say that when Dylan Gabriel was with the ones, he didn't look very good. Same with Kenny Pickett at times. So it's a blank slate for me, sort of, as they go into training camp. Now, I don't want to just talk about quarterbacks today, but I did want to address this because of what Daniel Jeremiah said. There is this idea that, like, got to learn about these guys, got to learn about these quarterbacks, got to learn what these guys are, got to learn what they are this year. You cannot learn what these guys are at the behest of trying to win football games. You kept a ton of veterans on this roster. Your Denzel Wards, Myles Garrett, Bitonio comes back for another year. Your whole offensive line is veterans that have been playing together for years and years and years. You brought back You just have veterans all over this roster on the defense and on the offensive line, mostly, right? Where you're younger on offense is wide receiver and running back. PFF came out with their rankings at wide receiver and running back. Running back, even with Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, they're ranked 28th in the NFL. I would argue with that heavily. I disagree with that. I think that's crazy, but they are rookies, so you slot them where you slot them, I guess, in one of these. They're both rookies. Nobody's seen them play, but Judkins, Sampson, and Ford is the room. That room ranks 28th with PFF. I don't see it, but whatever. I do see the wide receiver room. I get it. They're 32. They're ranked 32 dead last in the NFL, and I get it. You've got Jerry Jeudy, who is your guy. You've got a question mark around Cedric Tillman. You've got question marks around Jamari Thrash. And you've got question marks around Deontay Johnson. Now, I think there's less of a question mark if Deontay Johnson can actually play. I think they know he can play. The question is, can he keep it together enough to compete and be a part of this team and be a part of this wide receiver room? Cedric Tillman, you've seen the flashes there, right? And he looked really good for a period of time before the concussion that ended his season. So if he can get back to that, and it's hard judging wide receivers last year, almost impossible when Watson was in, right? The play was so bad. Can't judge it. So, and at the end with DTR. So really you had like this, besides Jeudy, who was best when Jameis Winston was in, but put up, a great year, over 1,000 yards, very productive, looks great in camp, taking on a leadership role. If you watch the Mike Dubs segment with him, but said Tillman has to be year 2 and has to come on strong. And then I've talked about it. I wrote about it this week. Go check it out. That they have to add to this room somehow. Cut downs, trades, whatever. I know what David Bell is. I know what Michael Woods is. Somehow you have to add an intriguing, like just 1 or 2, maybe even, but like any kind of an intriguing high upside player. Size would be great. I feel like they're missing some size in this room, into this wide receiver room to kind of just raise the floor. If Jerry Jeudy gets hurt, this wide receiver room looks really, really rough, right? I mean, they're already ranked 32nd. It's hard to argue against that one, at PFF. So, but those are the 2 areas that aren't veterans. So you're 28th and 32nd in the areas where you're young. They were way down there in the roster rankings. What were they? 31, 32 at PFF, which I thought was nonsense as well. Because if you look at like the defense and stuff, they're clearly better. And there are some areas where I think that they'll be good. And one of those is actually running back. Tight end is going to have to be a big part of this offense. All of this stuff comes together. But it comes down to this, back to the quarterback point. My point is this, that you have veterans in this locker room. Where you're young, the NFL doesn't really know what you are, or you're underrated there, right? Running back, wide receiver. To just say, like Jeremiah was kind of alluding to, he's saying you don't have a lot of time to learn about these guys, is what he said, basically. You've got to get them on the field and learn about Gabriel and Sanders. You cannot do that to this locker room. You cannot do that to the veterans here. You have to treat this season like you're competing. This can't be a tank job from the word go. It shouldn't be. With this kind of defense, it shouldn't be. Or what this defense could be, it shouldn't be. And that's why I don't think a rookie starts. I think Daniel Jeremiah is wrong, actually. I think in the end, as we go through training camp, and this is things I think I know, so you can kill me for this thought, but as we get towards through the first preseason game and the first joint practices, I think you're going to see Joe Flacco start to take more reps and more reps, and more reps. And ultimately, I believe he starts week 1. And I kind of said this last night on All Eyes on Cleveland, like I don't expect him to play 17 games. But I think his presence, the respect that he commands in the locker room from the veterans that are there, the success he had here last time, he could go out and win a couple games in the first 6, right? And I think you look at it like that. Now they're going to go Stefanski style, one game at a time. And that mantra and that attitude actually plays into this balancing, learning about these quarterbacks and winning. I think that plays into this pretty well, the 1 week at a time thing, right? Like, so you'll have your depth chart at that point. I don't think they'll carry 4 quarterbacks. I think that Kenny Pickett ends up being the odd man out. He may end up, they may trade him. It's always made sense to me to trade him to the Saints, where his former offensive coordinator is, and Kellen Moore. So I don't know what happens. Not that he would play there either, but it would make sense. I think they're going to play Shuck or whatever. But I think that moving him at some point makes the most sense, because and then you'll have your depth chart fall into place, and it'll either be Sanders and Gabriel or Gabriel and Sanders, depending on how they perform in training camp. Now, that's just what I think is going to happen, because I think that you take Flacco. I don't think he's here to be a backup, as he kind of talked about. I think he's here to compete. I think he's clearly the most ready. He knows this offense. He knows what they're trying to accomplish in this offense. And if they could get a running game, and if the defense could live up to their expectations, or potentially what they could be, like, they can win some games. You don't know. The strength of schedule stuff is so crazy, because every year we look at it, and then you never know what version of what team you're facing on the schedule. You could get the backup quarterback in 2 games. You could get an integral part of their team missing for injury. You could get a team on a slump, a team going through, can't figure it out, whatever. It's just the NFL. Each season is its own entity. Each week is its own war and battle that you can prepare for and go win. And I think the Browns have a good enough defense to keep them in games. If their run game is competent to explosive at times, and you have somebody that can manage the offense in a way, or operate the offense in a way that is, take what's there, move the ball, and then take your shots in the play action game, then I think that you have a chance to win some games. Now, how many games? I don't know. But you can't tank this thing in from day one saying, we got to find out about these guys, and no Flacco, no, we're going right to the rookies. The only way that happens is, and like I said, there's a path, is if one of them just takes the camp by storm and he outright wins the job and you start in week 1 and it's just hands down, you see it, it's clear as day. This is the guy that needs to start week 1. And for that to happen in this offseason, it would be somewhat surprising for me. Like, I think Shador can beat out Gabriel and be the backup and be the guy you go to in week 7 or week 6 or whenever that time is that, Flacco has to miss a game or whatever. But I think naturally the season will take you down the right path. Like, if you're going to be competitive, and it's unlikely that he plays 17 games, these guys are going to have to play football games. Sanders, Gabriel, they're going to have to play football games. And you're going to learn about them. And to Pete's point, when people say learn about them, that's like us. That's for the outside, right? And it's fair. He makes a good point. They see him every day in practice. So they're already learning about him. Like, to say, like, we have to see him to learn about him is a certainly there is an element of when the lights come on, what they do in a game versus practice and everything else. But you also have to understand that the coach is evaluating the player every day. So they know whether they think the guys are ready or not just from watching them every day. And now, can you come up with an entire, like, 1-year evaluation of a rookie quarterback without seeing him play in any real games? No, I don't think that's fair. But I think you can get a lot of the way there with, like, what we've seen in practice. This is what we know of him. This is how far along he is. Like, Stefanski's coached a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL now. Like, he knows when a guy is going to be ready. He knows what he wants to see. He knows when he's ready to start somebody. So I think that that's a fair thing. Like, the whole we got to see him is a thing for the fans, right? Like, the coaches are seeing him every day. So, but the Jeremiah comments are interesting, but this team isn't going to go full tank, not with this many veterans out there. And not that playing a rookie would be full tank, but the way Jeremiah phrased it wasn't like, yeah, they could start a rookie if he takes camp by storm and looks like the guy that gives you the best chance to win. It was, they got to start a rookie because they got to learn about these guys. That's the wrong attitude. You can't do that, right? It's got to be, they're going to start whoever gives you the best chance to win. And what they did with Watson last year was a disservice to everybody. And if you, at any point this year, this locker room feels like they're playing somebody for any other reason besides that guy gives them the best chance to win, then you're going to lose the locker room and you're going to lose the respect of all these veterans that came back. And it's just a must, right? Like, you can't go through that again where you're looking everybody in the eyes and saying, yeah, he still gives us the best chance to win, when everybody damn well knows that Watson didn't give them the best chance to win. So, can't go back to that. I don't think he will either, which is why I think Flacco starts day 1. Now, is it possible Sanders takes camp by storm? Sure. I'm absolutely rooting for that to happen because that would be the best case for the Browns, right? Like, for him to take camp by storm and prove to Kevin and Musgrave and Tommy Reese that he's the guy would be the best case scenario, because I guess not that him doing that and then following that up with success in the league this year would be the best case scenario, because then the Browns can use their 2 firsts on something else. You can get a wide receiver, you can put weapons around him, and you have your solution. But it will take a lot to earn that first start early in the season. I think they'll get there eventually. Just because I don't think Joe can play 17 games at 40 at his age. We'll see. We'll see how they do this, but early in the season, he certainly, I think, gives them the best chance to win. At least it would feel that way. Like if week 1 were tomorrow, that's how I would feel, right? Now we still got all the training camp to go through and all that stuff, so this could all change. But first and foremost, play who gives you the best chance to win. No other agendas. No learning about guys. No other reason. Whoever is there, even if it's Kenny Pickett, and you know how I feel about Kenny Pickett, even if they think it's him and he's clearly the guy that gives them the best chance to win, then play him. I don't think that could be the case, to be honest, but we'll find out. I wanted to just hit that up. This is not the season that you can do that, right? And I think you'll naturally, taking it 1 week at a time, learn who these guys are, and the coaching staff will learn who these guys are, and they will know by the end of the year, going into the offseason, whether they need to use the first 2-round picks on a quarterback or whether they have found a guy that they think is their franchise quarterback. And let's hope that it's the latter, right? Let's hope that they find their franchise quarterback in the room this year. But just to start one of them, to say I can learn about them, is weird, because the coach the coach is seeing them in practice every day. The coach is seeing them in joint practices. The coach is seeing them through camp. They know. We don't need to see it. They need to see it, right? We would like to see it. Sure. But, and there's an element to when the lights come on, for sure. And when it's game, for sure. But, and I think the evaluation is incomplete without a fair sample size of those games. But it would take a lot. It would take a tremendous performance by one of the 2 rookies to get there for week 1 for me. And the Browns got to go into the season trying to win football games. They owe it to this team. You're watching Things I Think I Know on the OBR streaming network. If you notice, we got a couple new shows coming out. We've got the guys doing film breakdown, and they've added a Jacob and Sam have added a 2026 prospect spotlight show, which you can find on Wednesday nights now, after OBR Weekly, where they are already focusing in on the 26 draft. So here on the OBR streaming network, we've got shows from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every week. And we appreciate you all being with us. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell to know every time we go live, right? So you guys are with us all the way through. Moving past the Jeremiah thing and the narrative around Shador being behind or whatever, the Charles Robinson thing, as far as processing, I think it's done once you get to training camp. Like that, no more training wheels, nothing, right? Like, let's go and show me what you got. I at least that's the approach that I hope that they take with them, with all of them, right? All right, make or break seasons. PFF has DeJuan Jones as the Browns. They have one player from every team make or break season. DeJuan Jones is who they have. There's guys that are more make or break for me than DeJuan Jones. I get it. He hasn't finished a season without being injured. So it is a big season for him, and he came in certainly looking fit, and that's fantastic. Stay at that weight, stay ready to go, come back to camp at that weight, and you've done a tremendous job now. Take that left tackle position and grab hold of it, learn it inside and out, despite his quotes about not wanting to do it. Son, you're going to get paid a lot more money over there. You can learn it. You can do it. It's not that different. You can do it, son. It's worth it. Yeah, I'd love to see him wrap up that. I mean, how important is that for the Browns moving forward to be able to be like, yeah, we've got, even, our offensive line is old as shit, but yep, we've got a left tackle of the future. So I get why they would write that, but I think I would have gone with Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, maybe. I mean, he may be just playing out the string, but I've heard some people say there's one extension there. Whoever plays better, go get it. I don't know if that's the case or not, but Martin Emerson certainly make or break year, right? I think he bounces back. I have confidence in him to bounce back after last year. It was a weird year last year, right? Like, how do you go from looking so tremendous in 23, having a good offseason, going to camp, you're shutting down Justin Jefferson on a viral video at joint practices. He looks like the man, and then come out and play that season. Weird. Still think something physically wasn't right with him, potentially, that we don't know about. But either way, make or break year for Emerson. Same thing for Alex Wright for me. This is last year, right? And he has a weird path, right? Like, we kind of talked about it last night, and I talked about it with P2 on Tuesday. Is he in a straight up competition with Isaiah McGuire? Maybe, but it behooves the Browns for Isaiah McGuire to be the guy, because he's got another year on his rookie deal. And frankly, he's been a little bit better as a true edge. For me, Alex Wright is at his best when he kicks inside. He does a couple different things nicely for you, but he looks big, strong, and fast coming off the offseason, so we'll see what he does. But for me, big year. If he wants to earn some kind of a future extension here with the Browns, I don't know if that one's in the cards, right? Like, that's where you got to kind of make a decision on what do we want? What do we want to do at this edge position moving forward? And really what Isaiah McGuire and Wright do throughout the season will be huge, right? Because does one of them prove that they can be the guy opposite Myles Garrett? It's a tough role, right? But can one of those guys be the guy opposite Myles Garrett, or does it need to be a higher caliber, higher pedigree, early round type specimen of an athlete to play opposite Myles Garrett to impact the amount of double teams and things that he gets to see? Or will the combination of Mason Graham and Mike Hall and Malik Collins and your edges, including Shoyinka or Ogbo if he's here, will that be enough? It's an interesting question. Jamari Thrash, make or break year for me. You got to show me something. it's hard to evaluate him off of the snaps he got last year because quarterback play was so poor. At the same time, he didn't. He disappeared when he was out there. So I got to see something from Jamari, and I hope he flashes. David Njoku extension, I would fully expect for him to get extended. I really hope so. When you bring in Fannin, it's so that you can have two tight end weapons for me. It's not so that as a replacement for Njoku. I think you gotta extend him, make sure he's a Cleveland Brown all the way through, and let Fannin and him become the likely and his name is escaping me now, the tight end for the Mark Andrews, the likely and Mark Andrews type duo that we saw in Baltimore, right? Just in a different way in Stefanski's offense. So, yeah, I don't look at Fannin as he's not a replacement for Njoku. He's a supplemental to this offense, right? So, with both of them out there, you become a different kind of offense and a more versatile and dangerous offense, especially, in Stefanski's 12 personnel, 13 personnel stuff. Creates mismatches. It allows you to do some really creative things. And Fannin seems like a weapon. So I would hate for him to come in and then have to be the replacement to Njoku. I don't think that's what they were thinking when they drafted him. I think they were thinking this is the supplemental piece that goes with Njoku at tight end that makes us dynamic at that position and allows us to do different things on offense. So I think that you've got to get Njoku signed to that extension. That's kind of it. Those were the thoughts of that I wanted to get off my chest to kind of wrap up this week about everything going on, some of the narratives out there around, basically kind of what Daniel Jeremiah said, and along with Charles Robinson's thoughts on and some other people's thoughts on Shador being behind as far as processing and offensive grasp. And I think that all goes away when you go to training camp, right? Like you have time now to make sure you know that playbook in and out, and he will. I trust that they both will, and that coming into camp, it's not going to be like, I would be surprised if it's like, oh, we're still easing him in over here on field 2. I think it would be more like you said, time to go. And if you're not up on stuff, any of them, Pickett, Gabriel, Sanders, any of them, if you're not up on it, if you don't know what's going on, yeah, we're going to teach you, but you got to keep up or else it's going to be evident to everybody there. It's go time. They're taking a little different approach this year. I hope they continue to do that. Pace, tempo, practice with pace, tempo, get lots of reps in, work hard, no country club, Greenbrier training camp this year. This is the real deal. So get them ready to play. Talked about last night the new health and personnel and teams that they brought, the health and recovery guys that they brought in training staff. Feels like their approach already is more aggressive, and that's a good thing to see, right? Um, it's going to be a lot of fun, right? It's going to be a lot of fun to see these guys because I do think, come preseason games, we're going to get a chance to see a lot of Sanders and a lot of Gabriel, and that's going to be fun, right? That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, training wheels off. Let these guys sink or swim with the ones when you get back when it's go time, and it'll become evident, I think, who should start week 1. And I'm sure everybody has an opinion about that, but that's where I'm at with that. And to what Daniel Jeremiah said, I get it. Yeah, you got to learn about these guys, but I think Pete made the best point of the week on that. Like, coaches are learning about these guys every day. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean they're not learning. And now the evaluation is not complete without seeing real game experience, but that'll come. I think that'll come. And but the one thing you can't do with this team and this group of veterans that's back here is play somebody for the wrong reasons. You got to play them because they give you the best chance to win, period. Whoever earns it gets it. That's how you got to approach it. Or else you're going to lose them, right? Like last year was a one-off in that. And it feel like it kind of really broke Stefanski a little bit. But he's back. He's reclaimed everything. He's calling plays. He's running his stuff. It's time for him to remind everybody why he's such a good coach. And I think he's going to do that this year. So with that, we're going to get out of here. This has been Things I Think I Know About the Cleveland Browns. Kind of recapping the week, talking through some stuff with you guys here on a Friday. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hit like, subscribe, tell a friend, and we'll see you next week with a brand new week of shows here. Keep it locked at theobr.com. Read everything that we're putting out. I'll have something out on Ronnie Hickman in the safety position. Guys are writing every single day. We got you covered wall to wall all the way until training camp. For everybody at the OBR, my name is Brad Ward. This has been Things I Think I Know. Have a great weekend.